Hey guys, Robert here, and today I have a special guest with me, a great artist who deserves so much more recognition, Chriscross.
Hi. No kidding. How you doing, y'all? What's going on?
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
I thought I'd give it a little hi.
I have been a big fan of your work. It's just I've adored so much of your style. Your style is so unique and really much one I don't see often, and that's why I'm always whenever I see it, I'm like, oh, it's great to see his name on another book.
I'm glad you think so because I've been fighting with that my style forever, and I'm always
really?
in a situation where I think it's not good enough, or I should
Ooh.
retool it, or I should add more to it. It's always a constant, constant additive or some new refix that I always try to do to kind of reboot myself so I'm not getting bored or trying to get stale. And
Right.
I hope I've not gotten stale, especially in the eyes of the public.
Oh yeah.
I try to do my best work. I'm trying to save it for my best stuff. Stuff that I want to do for myself, but I can't see myself kind of farting through pages and stuff like that because my name.
Right. Exactly. So
but sometimes you have to when you have a limited schedule. You have to kind of burn through in order to get the deadline done. But
Yep. But so how did you get your start in comics?
Oh boy, that's kind of a long story, but not so much.
Go right ahead.
So for a long time I was trying to get my way into comics through conventions, and old school there was no internet up, so you had to do things the old way. So I used to look in the comics section, the front page where the indicia used to be, and I would see if there's phone numbers there or someone I could contact off the indicia, and then I would send. Back then, you would either send copies of your work or you send your actual work in a big portfolio, mail it to the offices, or you actually take the time to go up there and drop it off because they have like a big old room over there where you can just drop that stuff off.
Oh.
And you never know if you're getting that stuff back, but you have to continue to back to see if you're going to get it, and maybe some months later they'll send it back.
Right.
But I made sure I was sending no original stuff. I went to go take the time to do the Xerox machine, and then I would get the big old pieces of paper that match what I drew on, and I sent that stuff up in envelopes with a portfolio, so they knew it was an actual portfolio scene they should be looking at.
Right.
And of course, I got blown off. I mean, some people gave me connections to other comic artists who were probably looking for assistance and stuff like that. And I think Rich Buckler way back in the day. He really loved the stuff I was trying to do, and he wanted me to work with him. And I didn't know at the time he was talking to me that Dennis Cowan was like in the same room working with him. So talk about kings of the future,
right?
But funny enough, I told him, I said, I really appreciate that you really think my stuff is that way. It's really good to you. I know you want me to come in and be do some about it. I mean, I'm living in Coney Island. He's up in Manhattan, and I didn't feel like going all the way over there every single day.
Right.
To go learn some stuff I was already teaching myself anyway. So I said, I'm going to bet on myself. But I really appreciate you hooking me up with the opportunity. And he said, I'm cool with that. I'm good with it. And I hope you enjoy yourself and power through and get into the industry the way you need to. And
exactly.
It did happen, but I think Rich had already stopped doing comics by the time I got in. Funny enough, I'm working with the man I was most likely working with him in his office.
I've actually met him. I met him before he passed away. I've met a couple of creators before they passed away, but he was definitely a nice guy when I met him. One of the first people I ever got a commission from.
You got commissions from him?
Yep, one time.
I wanted one, but I totally forgot to ask him before I hung up.
Yep. It was back when I first started going to convention. I thought, I'm going to have him draw this cartoon character, and I was Danny Phantom. I still have that. It was at Motor City Comic Cons where I had it done, and now I just wish I had him ask for a different character of mine.
Yeah.
An actual character of mine. I mean, an actual one of mine.
You have it framed up? You have it in glass? Framed up?
Yeah. Actually, I do have it there, and I do have it online as well. Actually, let me go get it so I can show that one.
Don't tell.
Yep, but keep on. But your first proper mainstream comic was Blood Syndicate #3, which is right here.
So that's a story too. So
yep.
Brian David Marshall,
Mhm.
who basically, I don't know if you understand know the digital comic company Interpop.
Heard of it, but
It
when
was on,
I've
it
done
was on
comic
for a
research.
little bit, and I did some work with them.
Mhm.
They're putting out a pretty good, nice universe. I hope he still is able to find a way to bring that universe back. But I met Brian Marshall when I was in high school.
Mhm.
I used to sketch a lot during near the summers before school was over, and I think I was like in the was it 11th grade, 12th grade,
Mhm.
like 12th grade, and I really had burned through all my credits, so I had nothing to do for like the
Mhm.
last half of the school session. So I had months, and while I was just kind of jumping in, I had like a classic class there, and I just kind of bumping around. So, and I was too far away from where I lived at, so I couldn't really just pick up and go unless I had money to jump on a train or something.
Mhm.
So basically, I used to just go into this guy's class and I used to just sketch. His name was Sorensen, John.
There's the sketch, by the way.
Awesome.
Yep, just wanted to show that one off. That was from Rich.
Cool.
Yep.
There you
But yeah,
go.
continue on. Continue on.
Yeah, so basically, Mr. Sorensen, as we all call him, he
Mhm.
used to see me sketching. He said, "Hey, there's this guy I know who's putting out a comic book that's not too far from here." And that was back in the days when I think the school was in um, like near Kings Highway, Brooklyn, Avenue U, Avenue. That's a pure Italian town. So, and that's a whole other story too. But
Mhm.
basically, he was he was actually putting together a comic book company. He said he was always looking for artists. So he said, I think what I want to do is I want to take you to this guy so you can see what you can do, if you can get something. You know, if it's a cover or something, let's just see what you can do. But I'm like, dude, I'm only 18. I'm only 17. What am I going to do? You know, I'm not. Is there anyone actually in the industry my age? You know, he said, you'd be
Mhm.
surprised. So he said, just bring some stuff with you. Bring your portfolio tomorrow. We're going to go there bright and early. And he
Mhm.
took me over to Brian's house. So,
Mhm.
and he rented the first floor of this. Basically, it's like a bunch of row houses. And he rented the first floor of it. And we walked in, and as I was walking through, Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman were like showing this
Ooh.
stuff, and having a chit chat with them. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's the guys that made Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, huh? Yeah, so
Mhm.
that'll never happen. Nothing big is gonna come out of that. Well, boy, was I wrong.
Yep.
You know, nice little concept. So there you go. You know, and now they're like what, like
Oh yeah.
1.6 billion.
Yeah, the movie just came out and it just reached $1 billion this year.
Yeah, plus they got the with like the video game that's coming out.
Yep.
Yeah, The Last Ronin.
Yep.
Which I think I read that story, so it hurt my heart to even read that thing.
Oh yeah, it did. It did. And I gotta say, the follow-up miniseries Lost
Yeah, I
Years,
don't know if
very
that's an
good.
alternate universe or what, but I don't know if that's like
Oh
something
yeah,
that's happening. That's an alternate universe.
alternate future, an alternate
Okay,
future.
I figured it was a future that was gonna happen. They were kind of
Yep.
leading to it.
It's the Dark Knight Returns of the Turtles. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
And it was like Days of Future Past.
Like that, something like that.
Yeah, it was rough, man. I was reading through. I was like, this can't be happening. Man.
Right.
How are they doing this to his brother? They killed all of them.
Yep.
All of them. Like
Yep. And
no more
Mikey's the
pizza.
last one.
Yeah, no more pizza. No
Yep.
more cowabunga.
Before you continue on your story, I did have a good question from someone, actually, my friend Nerdette. How did you approach blending milestone elements while maintaining your unique artistic voice? That's a good question.
Is that like recent stuff, or are you talking about back in the day?
I think I don't know. I think she might meant back in the day or recent. I don't know actually.
Milestone. I guess I don't know how to really answer the question. I guess it's a touch convoluted without being disrespectful, but
Right.
I would say elements of milestone. Let's see. I think milestones elements were more about being diverse and being very very succinct in the way they told stories. That was that was kind of rough riding in the way they told stories that Marvel or DC would not, because they knew, being a black ownership, they could touch places that they probably couldn't. So it was a little more Rough Rider, it was a little bit more on point, a little bit more serious, but it could be very, very funny also. And we can write from a particular perspective, from an urban point of view, because most of the people that were there raised in Brooklyn or raised in some sort of urban setting that may be foreign to a lot of other people. So my style has a lot of European and Asian aesthetics, plus and a lot of American legendary, iconic people like Walt Simonson, John Byrne, Neil Adams, people like that, and Michael Golden, people like that. So it's a myriad of different people, but I try to add a lot of stuff that's out there too, in order to try to push myself to the next level, making sure that you believe what you're looking at. So, but my stuff also has a lot of dynamicism to it too. So, on purpose, because I believe that both stories should move. I believe that characters should act, which is why I see a lot of facial expressions. Disney, they're people who really press stuff like that. They used to come to SBA when my school of visual arts, my old college, and they used to have these campaigns that come in and teach these classes about this is what we do. If you're going to join us, this is what you need to be able to do. Be able to go out, do sketch Bibles and stuff like that, stuff that you need as far as reference. You have to be able to make that stuff work. So you got to know it inside and out. And I actually do that for myself before I started doing any kind of comic book. So I was, very serious about that. I still do it from time to time, but now it's a different thing. We got Google Earth, and you don't have to take a plane to Paris. You just take Google Earth to Paris. Hopefully you got something that's very, that's very detailed and accurate. So, but also, I read a lot of books. Of course, still read. Also want still waiting chomping at the bit to write some stuff too at the same time. But we'll see.
So anyway,
but all that stuff fits into the elements that he wanted to know. I guess as far as how. I guess the elements of Milestones was a great deal of my elements too. So it's kind of I kind of took what I learned from Milestone and went forward with it.
That makes sense. But back to Blood Syndicate number 3. Sorry, we deviated from that. Let's get back to that.
So Blood Syndicate number 3. So there was an artist. They were doing a bunch of cards over there, but I didn't know anything about them. So I have to go a little bit further. So Brian Marshall, after I met with him, and he was at that time he was doing Lodestone Publishing back in the day. He was also doing Thunder Agents and stuff like that. And I didn't know this is the guy that managed to pull George Perez to do work for him. I'm like, I gotta know this, because he was like a pretty young guy too. So he was like maybe 19 when I met him, 18, 19. So he was already pushing stuff out there. He wanted to be a producer of comics. So he basically started putting some stuff together, and then I lost touch with him. So then I met him when I started working in a mall in Manhattan. It used to be called A&S Mall, but it eventually became Manhattan Mall. And there was a comic book shop on the top floor. And it was called Jim Hanley's Universe, which is still around. And I didn't know that he was there. Like, he was at the register. And I'm coming by, and I totally forgot what his face looked like, because it looked different. Like, he didn't have the same haircut. He had a little bit of mustache and stuff like that. So my brain didn't really place it was him. I said, there's this cat, named Brian Marshall, who basically, gave me some really good advice as far as trying to get back into comics. So I started really trying to get into this stuff. He said, Chriscross? I'm Brian Marshall. I'm like, what? What's going on? And we just started laughing about it. So we started. Jim Palmiotti was actually in the shop that same time.
I've had Jimmy on. I had Jimmy on as well. Yeah.
That's where he had the long hair down. His rocking uniform. So leather jacket, long hair, little, clean shaven. Sometimes he had a little mustache. But he was telling me some of the stuff that he did, and he was telling me about some stuff that he was getting into. And Brian said he's putting together some anthology books he wanted me to do some sketches for. But he was really trying to get me to draw some newer stuff in order to show some new perspective comic book companies in case I needed to be able to show that stuff, so they know what I was getting into. So that I did about 15 pages of work, maybe 20 pages of work for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he gave me some little money on the side because I'm still trying to get in. And then he told me about the comic company named Milestone Media that was owned by some African American artists and writers.
Right.
And they want to put out their own stuff. And I said, so what is the stuff they're putting out? He said, well, it's some really cool stuff. In fact, what's so cool about it is a lot of stuff is coming from like old, like 70s funk and stuff like Brick House. Like Brick House is like one of the names of characters. I said, Brick House? She said, yes, I think it's a woman named Brick House. I said, really? I said, that's interesting. I guess I have to see what that looks like. But he was always saying, you know, he would have an issue with how he would tell certain brothers about being able to draw comics for black art, you know, like a black comic book company. And he always had to get this pushback. Like, it become from, you know, my own community. It was really weird. Like, now I don't really want to do it because then no one knows who they are and I'm not going to make a name for myself. And me, I didn't care. I was like, draw some black characters, draw some characters. It's all right with me.
Yeah.
You show me, it's still getting into the medium. So they showed me, he gave me the address. I made some phone calls to come up there and see some people. And I was going to school of visual arts at the time, so I did in between classes. So they were like 4 blocks away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I started realizing the kismet of all these things I wanted to do that just happened to be near me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went up there, I took my portfolio up. Christine Gilliam, who was the office manager at the time, I would come up and I was just like, hey, my name is Chris Williams. I go by Chriscross. I'm just here to try to see if I could get a gig with you guys. And then I started showing the work, and then I just sat down. I'm like being myself, trying to chit chat with Christina, trying to get a number, trying to Mac Daddy, trying to get that Mac Daddy Mac. So she's like, recognize, like, calm down, customer. You just come here and get a gig, relax. So you gotta shut me down. So
yeah.
So, but they went in, and then another one of the guys was working on staff named Joseph James. Joe James, he was another cartoonist that was there, saw my work, and he said, "You drew this?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Hold on, I'll be right back." So he goes to the back. There's 3 offices right past this doorway, this partition.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into one of the offices. Then his counter comes up, and he looks at me, and he walks over to the other doorway with the pages, and into another door, and it's another door where the office was. Then he comes out with Dwayne McDuffie, who's a tall dude. Mm-hmm. They look at me. They go back into another office, and I'm looking like, what is happening here? Like I'm kind of starting to chuckle. I'm like, this is kind of comical. What's going on? So he goes into another office. Then, I think it was Michael Davis who was there at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then he did one of these like don't go. Stay right there. Then Derek Dingle comes out of his office, who's now at Black Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Big wig at Black Enterprise. So
right.
They all came out and started greeting me and said, "Well, who are you working for?" I said, "I'm not working for anyone. I'm coming to get a gig." They said, "You have no work?" I said, "I've done some stuff on the side, but So they said, "Okay, come with us." And I actually got the interview there. I thought I was going to have to come back. Mm-hmm. So they gave me an assignment to see what I would do, and that's when they were doing their card sets.
Right.
So they gave me the first card set they gave me was, they gave me one single one. I know it was one of the characters from Blood Syndicate, After Maria, which I actually penciled in myself. But they gave me this 9-card setup. Mm-hmm. Well, I was able to take like a big old action poster of Blood Syndicate coming at you, and they were able to cut it into like 9 cards. And I had to get that done within a certain amount of time. They were going to pay me for it. And they wanted to see what I could do with it. So I did the gig, and they came back and said, "Do you want to start working with us now or later?" I said, "Well, I mean, I got school, but I can work it out." He said, "Good, because we want you to start on Blood Syndicate number 3." I said,
what is you were they up to? What is you were they up to?
I had to go on wet didn't know how
Yep.
to swim. Had to learn on the way. Going through all those tsunami waves that were throwing me at. And they
Right.
basically say, hey, you have a certain deadline to get the stuff done. So I had to get that stuff in at the same time I was getting my college work done, which was I don't even know how
Oh
I did it.
boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. So every day, every week, or every other week, I was bringing up pages coming from Manhattan, coming
Mm-hmm.
from Coney Island where I used to live at, and I would take a train back and forth to their studio to bring in pages because there was no FedEx when I was rolling that was coming anywhere near my place, so I had to walk up there. Plus, I wanted to pick up that check in my hand. I wanted to wait around for it.
Right.
So you know how it goes. So that first check. So since I was throwing the pages in, they started really enjoying it, and then they after the issue 4, I think it was
Yep.
who did that particular book?
Let me skip right. Let me go right over to that. It'll say right here. It was.
It wasn't James.
Where?
It was James. James. God, what's his name? Sorry.
No, it's all right. I'm trying to find the title and the credits here too, and probably at the end of the issue, I bet. Yep. Oh, it's Avril Jones and James Fry.
James Fry.
Oh, Avril Jones. Arvell Jones. I've met him too. I've met him too.
Yeah. Arvell's cool too. He's a great guy. So.
Yep. Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah. He's on point too. Don't mess with that brother.
Oh yeah, trust me. I've met him many times. He's a regular at Grand Rapids Comic Con. I've met him there plenty of times. Great guy.
Yeah, he's a soldier though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep. I think he's told me that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, after I took over that, I jumped on the issue 5, and I was on there ever since.
Yep.
So it was one of those things where people were saying you don't know how you're going to get things unless you work hard to go get it, and it didn't occur to me that I would fail. So I just kept running back over until I got what I was looking for.
Right.
And it fell into my hands, so to speak. But I had to make it work. I had to keep it going.
Right.
And it's been like that ever since. I've been in the industry ever since.
Yep. And then you've done so many other books. I mean, just focusing on your DC work, you've done stuff like with Jeffrey Thorne, who you've worked with a couple of other times. The Vixen story. You've also
I left from DC after I did after the milestone started going downhill as far as production and stuff like that, and all the different woes that kind of happened with milestone.
Right.
At a different point, I started doing. I went to DC Actual, and I started working on Zero.
Oh, yeah, it was Christopher Priest. It was Christopher Priest. I don't think they have that here, unfortunately.
Well, you have to do a special call for that one. I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure also, hold on. I always do this. If I can't find anywhere else, I go here.
You'll be able to find it up there. It's the internet. There's no way you can't find Zero.
Yep, it's right here.
Yep. And that I really enjoy doing that.
Christopher Priest, great guy as well. I'd love to have him on my show.
And the funny thing about that first issue was not the original first issue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the first issue before that, but it didn't pan out well because of some production issues and some mix up between how certain things happened with the Inca, which an amazing woman named Phyllis Novin. She was supposed to be the original Inca on the series, but she wanted to listen to certain people, certain editors tell her what to do to work on my work, and it wasn't fair for her and it wasn't fair to me, and we had to have a serious conversation about it.
Right.
And they wound up having to scrap that whole issue, and that was supposed to be a third issue.
Oh,
they made that a first issue.
Ooh, I'm sorry to hear things went to become a kerfuffle like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's growing pains, but
right.
like I said, I didn't take it out on her. I just said,
right.
I just thought that it wasn't fair that they made her do certain things with my artwork that no one's supposed to do. If there's an issue, supposed to come to me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like I said, she went on to do her own thing. She's a great singer in her own right. So she's doing great. Of course, this was a long time ago anyway. So But we had fun doing that issue. We got pretty serious. That was just another. Christopher Priest used to be down with Milestone at one particular point also. So he was one of the original founders, and he left pretty early.
Right.
But he kind of brought his aesthetic as a part of the behavior of Milestone with Zero. So it was like I never even missed a step. It was like I went from what was already happening to Milestone to go to some alternate version of what Milestone would be under another head of a person who's a very genius writer. Who's also, as you say, unsung.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Priest is also another unsung one. Yeah, he's like, oh, so much of his artwork is so good. I mean, he finally got a Justice League book, and he was just holding it down until Snyder took over. I feel like that's not fair. Give him a bigger run. He deserves a big run that deserves like all the prominence.
Yeah, he's a writer, by the way. Just to let you know.
Yep. Yep. I know. Yep. But yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, he and I, in order to do that book, that was the Dan Forsland was the editor, and Alison Morales, who also met some time ago, a long time before we wound up working together. She was also assistant editor on that book, and you know, that book was one of the that book that came out was like Aztec, that was drawn by me, Stephen Harris, and some other books that came out around the same time. I guess it was one of those books that they kind of expected to just fall off and fail because Zero started to really pick up steam. I don't think they were ready for that. So, but we had fun with it. We did a lot of really cool stuff with that book, and it's one of the books got the attention of the military.
Ooh.
Yeah. They were asking how we knew what we knew.
Oh no, what of that type of attention?
It was that kind of a thing. I was like,
oh no.
How did he know what to draw, and how did he do it so accurately, and how did you know what was going, like, where did you get your information from?
Oh no, what is those?
They were saying they were real fans of the book, but they just really wanted to know how we were just goofing.
Right.
And of course, he did his research on how he wanted to tell the story with the character, but we kind of, as I still
it was a fluke. It was a fluke.
It was a fluke, and it was, as I still continue to do, I always try to one up the writer with the way I draw, so that when he sees something that he goes, "Oh, okay, I see what you're trying to do." Now I got to try to one up him with my dialogue, and it winds up working. You know,
right?
Cool stuff to happen. So I use various people that I knew as characters for those facial representations for those characters.
Right.
And the bald-headed brother, who was named Rev, that used my face.
Ah.
Yeah, but
nice.
I can't remember whose face it was that I used for Coltrane Walker. It might have been, who was it? I'm trying to remember who it was. I mean, it was so long ago.
Right.
But I would use certain faces, and I just kind of leave it alone, let it do his own kind of morphing, so he would have his own aesthetic. So I have to keep reaching back to look at it.
Dude, this book, I'm just looking through all what I'm seeing right now. This book definitely deserves more recognition as well.
Listen, it's being picked up as a movie, so it's going to get its due.
Nice.
50 Cent put his hands into it, said he wants to produce it.
Nice.
He wants to put it out there, so it's been in deadline already. So between me and Christopher Priest, we were very, very happy to hear about that. The Eric Alexander is another one who's a part of it. Joe Illage was also a part of that situation also, to try to get it out there, and it got picked up. So
hopefully you'll get a collection then.
Hey, I'm pretty sure it should. It's only 12 issues, so it shouldn't be that hard. But
there's
about 8 of those issues.
And
then I went from there to do Captain Marvel.
Which, I was about to jump right over to. Which, that was the first time I ever saw your artwork was on this run. And how did you get this gig? I
was doing X-Men at X-Man at Marvel. I did about 3 issues, and I was actually slated to continue on with the book. But they hit me up. They said I started doing Slingers after that. And then I chose to do Slingers because I felt like, everyone. I didn't think for some reason I didn't really have a thought that X-Men would last long.
Right.
and I figured it'd be better to jump to the Spider Universe than to just try to make things happen with this particular book. And I don't know if there was a right way to go or wrong way to go. Some people ask me, "You chose to back away from the universe? Are you crazy?" I'm like, maybe I am. So I'm just gonna try this Spider thing and see what happens. And that lasts about 12 issues also. But after as I was finishing that, Tom Brevoort, uh, one of the head editors at Marvel, hit me up and said, "I got something I want you to check out." And he hit me up with, would you like to do Captain Marvel?" I was like, "Would I?" Yeah, sure. Like, well, when do I start? He said, "I already talked to your editors. I'm taking you off myself. We're gonna make this happen." So I said, "Okay." So he gave me, I think it was a 10-pager, like a preview.
I did the 0 issue, which they don't have on here, unfortunately.
Right. And Hannibal Rodriguez was the person who was inking it, and I really took my time and put my full stamp on that. As good as it was at that particular point. And then people really loved what I did. Peter David lost his mind over it, so I understood, and we came from there. And of course, I was enjoying this because this is the guy who's writing Sin Eater for Spider-Man, And I read all that stuff, Hulk and all this other stuff. So I was like, to be working with him was kind of crazy because there's a homeboy of mine, Arthur Mason, who his name is also T-Grade. His middle name is T-Grade. So he and I were comic book heads forever, and we were always talking about what it would be like for me to get into that. We would even come up with some stuff for our own, so that I would bypass Marvel and DC altogether, just jump right into Image to see if I could get there. But that didn't pan out because I wanted to get the Marvel gigs. And then it ain't over yet though. So like I said, I got stuff coming planning. So, but past that, I jumped in there, started having fun with it, and it was some processes that we had to work out, but I was able to find my voice, and he was Peter David, so I just kind of tried to meld with what he was putting together, and we just built a pretty good body of stories.
Yep, I was just trying to find one of the other issues. One of my favorite issues, the one that got your attention actually on Twitter. Well, where is it? Where is it? So many Captain Marvels. What is it? Issue? I think it might have been issue 6. I think. Hold on. Yep, this one.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yep. I love that gag. Just like, I want the manager. Alan, I write customer. I want to see the owner. Yo.
Yeah, I totally ad-libbed a lot of that.
Yep. I just love that. Yo. That guy's vlogging. I just love his expression. Just like, and then the way he's just walking out. It's just like.
And here's the funny thing about it. That whole comic book shop was literally ripped from the actual Jim Henley's Universe store at the point in Manhattan on 33rd Street.
So that was Golden Orange Comics was that place.
I never been to Golden Orange, so I had never been to California at that point. So, I had to use something. So I said I'm going to use the comic shop I always frequented. So
who was your favorite character to draw during your time on Captain Marvel, by the way?
That's a good question. Marlo was one because it forced me to draw women.
Right.
I really don't think I'm all that great in drawing women. I'm still working on it. Who else? I mean, I had fun doing Janice Bell.
Right.
I liked, funny enough, being able to redo Moondragon.
Oh yeah, Moondragon's look. Yeah, I just went right past her. Yeah.
Yeah, I really tried to do something really cool with her, but it still wasn't fully realized. But it still came out pretty. I just wanted that. I got tired of her being that green ghetto.
Right.
And
I think this outfit would last. I think this outfit would last well for quite a long time, I think.
Yeah, I think it did, but I think a lot of people who did it didn't understand what I was doing, so they didn't really get it right.
Right.
I was literally inspired by Alexander. What's his name? There's a fashion designer. He'll come to me. I forgot his name. He'll come to me, but yeah, definitely a fashion designer kind of inspired the way she looked. It's like the neck and the shoulders and that back, that skirt cape was something that I got from looking at a lot of Asian comics.
Right. Oh, gotta ask, how was it to be one of the few people to draw Rom well past when you should have?
It's Cherry Mugler. That's what it was.
Right. Oh, right. But yeah, how was it to draw Rom well past the time when technically he should not have been allowed at Marvel?
It's weird. I always loved that book too. So
I did
even
too.
if I got to draw him once, it's better than nothing.
Exactly. But boy, how did you guys get away with that? I mean, technically shouldn't have been not allowed because Marvel long lost the rights.
Hey, it was underneath that comics code of authority, so if they thought it was an issue, they should have said something.
Exactly. I'm excited for that omnibus finally collecting stuff. Yep, but yeah, you would stick around on this through a lot of the volume and that first volume, and then by the second the next volume after they resplashed it for the You Decide, which I talked to you a little bit about afterwards. But you only were around for the first arc. What happened?
I kind of had to let it go after a while because you had no idea how hard it was to get the type of process I was using to do those pages.
Oh yeah, you told me you did right from the pencils, correct?
Right, but I was also doing like shading, and I was doing like using old school, like using my hands to get certain type of gray tones and burnishes, and using like light tables and stuff like that, to get the stuff done. It was taking all day to do, and it took so long to get done during the day, and I still had to make deadlines. After I became very, very stressful, trying to continue to do what I was doing with the amount of with the amount of energy I was putting into each one of those panels. So after a while, I kind of had to like just kind of pull off and that jumped into something else. I think after that, I think that's when I started doing. I got to DC. I was doing Firestorm. I think it was.
Yeah. Oh, the Firestorm book. Yeah, that would have been around the same, going right into that same point. But just want to ask that.
I really think that Captain Marvel stuff was. I really had a lot of fun doing that because I got to really show off what I could really do.
Exactly. Oh,
and
this Punisher issue.
More time to do what I wanted to do. I could have made it. I could have done it with a whole lot less stress.
Right.
I could have done some really serious, really cool stuff with that work.
Right.
Although I guess some of it was still pretty good.
Yep. But, yeah, the Punisher issue here was really good. I liked so many of the issues you had done.
When I got the script for that, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm doing the Punisher."
Yep.
And I was like, "All right."
Yep. And how was it doing the new Alex Ross's new costume design? Were you a fan of that new look?
I dug it because it was kind of retro.
Yep.
And when I saw it, I was like, okay, all right. I really had I couldn't really say no, I'm not going to draw it because I already proved it. But not that I was going to do that anyway, but I said, hey, let's just make it work. You can do his, I can do mine, so let's make it work.
Exactly. And I liked how he looked at it. He looked at it like it was a temporary costume. Like he knew it wasn't going to last long.
Right.
Yep. But one of my favorite pages you drew was right around this one.
Yeah.
That one was, in a good way.
Yeah, I decided to flex on that one.
Yeah, to see all those different teeth and everything. It's just, now,
I had to come up with something abstract that basically showed how mad he was getting. Like he was just he was so angry about everything that was happening in front of him because he was actually, I guess, being poisoned in a way by
the cosmic entities. Epiphany.
Cosmic, that's what we call it.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, when it all came down to it, he started slowly but surely becoming more and more insane because it wouldn't shut off. He started seeing everything from the beginning to the end to different types of alternate realities of things that could happen and couldn't happen, and he couldn't make it stop.
Exactly. Now, did you keep an eye on the book after you left?
A little bit, but I was so busy trying to get other stuff together because I kind of left. I actually left the industry for a bit. And I started doing stuff with humanoids.
Right. I saw that on your wiki.
Right, and then after that, I slowly but surely came back. But ever since then, I think that's when I came back. I was doing Firestorm was first, and then I did humanoids. I left after the 4th or 5th issue, and then I did some stuff for France for a while, and then I think I had an accident that messed my leg up, so I was kind of out of the picture for a while, and then I slowly but surely started coming back doing other stuff. So past that, I don't think I really started. I've been doing a lot of miniseries stuff, trying to get more stuff together, and ever since then it's just been me hopping from one book to another.
How was it?
I wanted the chance to do other books,
How was it to be one of the main guys who co-created Jason Rausch Firestorm?
Oh, I mean, I use my brother as his reference.
Nice.
Literally, I mean, my brother's light skinned, so I wanted to create I actually tried to set up a situation where you wanted a diverse way of looking at black people in comics.
Nice.
I tried to continue to push the same milestone aesthetic forward. Because I wanted Jason Rush to be light skinned. I wanted his mother to be light skinned, also very fair skinned, but his father to be dark skinned. So he looks like his father, but he's got his mother's color. His mother's melanin. So because my family is the same way. My mother was very, very fair skinned with hazel eyes. Right. My father was dark skinned with brown eyes, and there's a lot of dichotomy between between melanin, between should I say the flavors between dark and light. So I'm kind of in the middle. But we all look like, it's just the way, genetics. That's what it's supposed to be. Right. And I tried to pull that off, but I don't think they had caught up to that yet. Because they seem to be caught in this thought that he had to be dark skinned. I said, no, he has to be dark skinned. He just has to look like somebody that means something.
Right.
But that would be an issue going back and forth. So it was a situation that kind of really dulled because they did what they wanted to do anyway.
Right.
I kind of lost my steam working with that, but I guess I could have probably made a serious epic out of that run if I continued to keep doing it. But I just got disillusioned. I just kind of dropped off and did some other stuff.
Right, so, and then I noticed here there was that bit of a gap after you did something with you did like Welcome to Tranquility and an issue of Midnighter, and then there was then like a 2-year gap then between Midnighter and Justice League, the Justice League one shot.
Yeah.
How was it working on that one with the Starbreaker issue?
That was different. I don't know why I decided to go with the route of the type of style that I was rolling with, but I mean, I could have gotten more serious with it, but I was thinking cartoon for some reason.
Really? Yeah, I kind of noticed that your style got a little bit more like that as it went on.
Yeah, it was kind of hokey, kind of crazy, kind of. Also, partly because it was one of these issues that needed to be done very, very quickly.
Right.
So I had to kind of pick my poison. I can really trouble my way into really putting in all this extra details and really trying to bolt up to make him look a certain way, or just whip that bad boy out and just make it fun. So I went for the latter. I wanted a smarter, not harder approach.
Right. It makes sense. Now, of course, then there was going back to Milestone Forever, where you did the final Static Shock story. How was that getting to do that?
That was Wayne McDuffie hit me up about that, and I thought I might have worked with one or two of his books before, a couple of pages.
Well, that first Blood Syndicate was all written by him.
Right. Yeah. But I don't know if I jumped on that. I don't think I was on that. Right. I think it was Ivan Velez. You talking about the original Blood Syndicate?
Yeah, the original Blood Syndicate issue 3. That first issue did.
Ivan Velez, but Dwayne McDuffie basically was kind of guiding him.
Oh, okay.
It was all Ivan Velez Jr. And then basically Dwayne saw how good he was rolling with it. He just took his hands off, like, I get out your way, you just do your thing.
Right.
And then we just kind of roll with it together. So, so this is the first time I was actually actively working on Dwayne McDuffie's actual script work.
Right.
And we had fun with it.
Yeah, this was a great final story. It's like a send off for him, because I mean, the whole point of this was to close the door. It was supposed to start a new era where DC and Milestone were to merge, and then it kind of just fell apart. Yeah. And of course, afterwards, he passed away. Oh yeah, then after that broke my heart. Like I said, I told you off screen, I met him a year before he passed. Just one of the greatest guys to talk to and find out like how his stuff was in industry. Finding out
Yeah,
about why he got let out of off of Justice League and how unfair that was because
yeah,
he was being brutally honest.
yeah, and he should have been.
Yeah, exactly. And then he just got fired for that honesty, which
The milestone game, we still talk together all the time.
yep.
We never broke up. It's a family now, so like every once in a while we try all kind of come back and get together and go eat dinner or something.
Yep.
Bring our
Well,
families together.
speaking of which, what was who? And Tavia was asking, who was your favorite character to draw up Milestone and why?
These questions,
And
I don't.
some people
DMZ,
that's something that people like to ask. I understand
I
not
know.
every
I just like because you pour so much of yourself into these characters, you want each one of them to
right.
have their own unique voice, and it's almost kind of weird to say who you like drawing the best. I really wish it. I mean, shoot, DMZ,
Ah.
uh, DMZ, and I really wish I could have done something to really kind of update him more
Mm-hmm.
while as I was drawing him. But people, I really like drawing his character. There's a character named Oro. They eventually showed up in Blood Syndicate in the latter, like in the latter like 20 books going forward towards my end of the run. I literally based his costume off of Captain Marvel, the old Captain Marvel.
Right.
And who else? I actually got a chance to draw a Stag when I did Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really like drawing Donna Blitzen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you remember Donna Blitzen, right?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm pretty sure.
That's the real muscle bound blonde sister.
Yeah, oh, yes.
And the Asian sister who's really lightning fast.
I remember now. Yep, I definitely remember now.
And I had fun doing that book also, Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to do some really cool stuff with that.
Right. So,
I think I really had the chance to let loose at like that after that. I mean, I've done some other stuff that I was able to really have fun with, but I really haven't felt like I've been able to work on a project where I can actually have the time to just fully let loose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still waiting to be able to do that, so I may have to create that.
Yep. Now, a little bit to go on to something that's close and personal to me, and going back a bit, was the Dr. Light story that you had done for Showcase 96, which, for what I understand, was supposed to lead into a possible miniseries, but you totally redesigned her look and everything. But
here's a really cool thing about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me and Joe Ellis told Dr. Light. I mean, he always wanted to do something with Dr. Light anyway, but I said, she's not fully realized. We're going to do some really cool stuff with her because they're not paying attention to her.
Oh yeah, they're not.
A lot of times, yeah. So, me, myself, and an anchor, an artist named Cesar Antonate.
Mm-hmm.
We all went to school together. Well, I met them in high school.
Right.
Joe Ellis went to School of Art and Design. I think it was School of Art and Design. I think it was School of Art and Design.
Right.
High school, and he went there also. Caesar went there also. I came from Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln High School, which is more of an athletic high school than anything else. Mm-hmm. So I found out they were having a comic book club over there from another person who was going back and forth to that particular school. And then I went down there to meet people, and I met Buzz Aldrin, Al. You know Buzz, the artist.
Yep. I know about Buzz.
Amazing guy, amazing artist. I've known him for a long time also. And I met Joe Ellis there, and also met Steve there. And we thought it'd be really cool since we were all kind of growing up in the industry that we were able to come together like we wanted to do in high school, just jam on a book.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked to the editor, and he said, "Cool, if you guys can come up with something really cool, then throw me the pitch. Let's see what happens." And we did. I came up with look for a costume. I let him ink it so they could see what the styles would look like together. And then Joe Illich wrote the script. They loved what they saw, and then I sort of in back, in the background with he and I having a conversation about what we would do with the characters. They picked it up, so I come up with this multi-plot thought process about what it would be like to be in her world, what would be different about her world that's not being pushed through DC, and if we were able to put some seriously visual aesthetics and some literary comprehension when it comes to telling a story a certain way that just wasn't hit in a certain way in the way DC normally tell a story. So we went through that rigmarole for a while, and then Showcase showed up. We did those. I think it was like six pages, maybe
something like that. Let me check. 1, 2, 3.
They might be 10 pages.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 10.
They're 10 pages, and we were hoping that what we were putting together was going to be the start of something that would be electric. Like they would say, "Hey, we like what you started. Let's see what you're going to come up with next," and we were just going to start doing that. And then that's after we did that. That's when I got the Zero gig. But they weren't going to go any further with what we were trying to do with Dr. Light, and we couldn't understand. So we thought they really liked what we were putting together, and we set her up as an amazing engineer. Basically trying to expound and trying to level up on the type of power she was using when it came to the original Dr. Light. She's probably more quasar than anything else. Maybe a step over that, but we really wanted to push her world, the world of I guess Asian mythology when it comes to Japan. A certain direction when it came to deal with how she was going to react in that world. So, and how it was going to react in our present world. Well, present at that time. So, that didn't work out. I guess it just kind of fell underneath the radar.
It happens.
And Joe is doing what he does now. Caesar's out doing. I guess he's out doing a bunch of commissions and stuff and working on his own stuff. And I'm here, so
Funny thing though,
we can always come back to it at some typical point. We're all still doing the same thing. So
funny thing though, she eventually got a bit of a kickstart spotlight around during Dwayne's run. That actually was in part thanks to me, and Dwayne clarified that because I actually had because here's what happened. I emailed Dwayne once asking about putting her. I went to a convention first, and I asked Dan DiDio. He was at the panel saying, "What's the plan for Dr. Light?" Justice League, wait and see. I actually, because he had the open email, I emailed Dwight. He said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And eventually she didn't appear. When I met him at the convention, he said, "Well, not long after you sent that email, I actually got word from Dan saying to put her in the book, meaning that was because of my question."
Well, it's either gonna happen or it's not. You know how it goes.
Oh, I know. But the fact is, then she
all
stopped.
You can do is put it out there and hope they're going to say yes.
But I'm just saying that. But Dwayne then put her in there, and then she stopped because then James Robinson was a fan of hers, and she stuck around right until the New 52 relaunch. It's like she had this big dry spell, but because I asked that question, I was lucky enough to give her a bit of a moment in the sun, in the light, for a good couple of years.
I bet she'll come back to resurgence if they decide to make a movie out of her.
Oh, I would love that. I would.
Or at least a series.
Yep, I would love to see a series or a movie of her rather than them adapting the male Dr. Light. I don't want that because I'm terrified of what they would do. They would probably just jump to the rapist stuff right off the bat.
Well, after what they did with that, but you can kind of redeem that character by using Kimio, was it?
Kimio, yeah, I would agree. But and then you would do other issues like you did Green Lantern, both the annual and Godhead, and then of course the Superman Batman arc. With that
also.
That was really good with Cullen Bunn, and you just had all these different redesigns of characters.
Yeah, funny enough, Firestorm was the way I pitched him visually. He was supposed to look like that way the way you saw him.
Hold on.
I had a whole mythology behind it.
Ooh.
And it basically kept building. If you try to find some stuff on Twitter or online or even on my my Instagram, you'll see the different stages of what I was putting together, and people were saying he's more like Fire God than Firestorm.
Yeah.
And he was looking too powerful, and I was like, well, I'm trying to come up with a reason as to why he's being called
the nuclear man. Yeah.
The nuclear man, when he's really more quantum than anything else.
Exactly.
It did make sense to me, so I wanted to make a quantum man instead of a nuclear man. He's not doing anything nuclear.
Exactly.
Nuclear is the way his powers look, his power signature, where he does his little hokey doke,
Exactly. Well, technically he does fuse, so that counts as nuclear.
Well, he can do that too, and I know he can put certain elements also.
Yep.
But he's also rearranging molecules. He's upgrading.
Yep.
So there's nothing nuclear about that.
Exactly. Agreed. I completely agree with that. And the only other thing that was nuclear was when they blew him up.
Yeah.
That was the only other thing that was nuclear.
And we're talking about a being that could literally terraform the whole planet and reshape it if he knew what he was doing.
Exactly. If he knew what he was doing. Exactly.
And we were trying to push towards that aesthetic when we first started. Who was it? Right, Danny.
Dan Jolly.
Dan Jolly. There were too many Dans on that book. Yeah, so Dan Jolly. We were having conversations also about what we could do to make him different, and we started dealing with quark vision. Break the feed into the quark level, not just molecular, but down underneath the molecules.
Right.
And start to break down, start learning what the lattices of quarks will look like, and how they build up and break down in materials, and how they build up actual visuals and solidity in metals and solid objects, and also in liquid. He can start to learn how to break that stuff down just by looking at it. And then, of course, we talked about when he did when he would change, where would his spirit go, his essence?
Right.
And of course, he would rule his essence inside of his body, but the people that he would absorb will be kind of trapped, and it use their essence to power the new form of Firestorm.
Right.
So it was kind of this kind of dastardly setup, this kind of evil sciences kind of setup where you use people as batteries.
Oh yeah.
In order to to continue to push the aesthetic of having Firestorm around, but he could just do it with anybody.
Exactly.
But he would rule. Like there were times you would see him walking around, and he was literally walking on like what looked like ground to air lightning.
Yep.
He was walking around on it, and everyone else kind of connected to these brain trees, I call them, like these neural pathways where they couldn't leave anywhere.
Right.
And I kind of came up with that, and I threw that at Dan Jolly. He's like, "Let's roll with it, dude."
Right.
If he wanted to do something else, and I said, well, we should just push this, man. Let's just really add to this mythos, because I mean, we don't want him to be the original Firestorm. We want him to be anyone else other than Ronnie Raymond. We don't want him to be a clone.
Exactly. Who wants that? What would be the point of changing him if you make him just like Ronnie?
Exactly. We want him more powerful.
Exactly. But yeah, then of course, one of your more recent works was Returning the Blood Syndicate. How was that coming back to the book?
It was weird and fun at the same time to kind of ask that question. If you know what you know now, and you had the chance to go back and redraw what you drew, what it would look like.
Right.
So there you go. I really wish I had more time with that book, but if they do a second one, we'll see if they want me to come back. If I'm not too busy at that point, I will have no issue with drawing another set of Blood Syndicates.
Exactly.
I spent years with that family, and I kind of knew them back and forth. And with Jeffrey Thorne and us having a conversation about what he wanted to do with this particular version of them, is basically creating a new aesthetic for that family. So
exactly.
So it's good to be able to redesign at least most of them.
Yep. I gotta ask, in your honest opinion, looking at because you were talking a little bit about with the industry, like what has been your opinion when it comes to in comics? Because you have characters that you have Miles and Miles Morales and all that. I just want you, from your opinion, and I'm I assure you, I'm asking this just as an honest question. No baiting, no nothing. I know a lot of people like to politicize these kind of questions. What is your opinion on when you see something like a Miles Spider-Man or Riri Williams Iron Man or the Luke Fox Batman? When you see someone when they're making like black versions of characters, where do you stand on that? Because I mean, like something like Jason Rush was replacing Ronnie. Completely different.
You just see the backlash I got for even jumping on that ball.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
It was ridiculous. I forgot some of the racist stuff I used to hear. Like going back and forth on the early version of the internet.
Yeah.
The forums.
The forums and all that. But
like, yeah.
Jace Fox, Jace Fox, not Luke Fox, not Luke Fox. Sorry.
And I was like, listen. I mean, Ronnie Raymond isn't here anymore. And they stopped doing the character because I obviously ran out of source for the guy. So if they're gonna come up with a new version of the character, why can't that character be?
Exactly.
It didn't have to be black. He could have been Asian. He could have been Latino. He could have been Polynesian. Who knows?
Exactly.
Anything that brings a new story to a new concept, to a concept that's being upgraded, that's not an issue. But people are closed-minded, so you have to you basically, you know how it is. It's people have a lot to say, and if they don't understand it, you have to let them talk, and then you bring them along.
Yes.
So some people, I don't know what they felt about Miles before. How he was introduced was pretty organic.
Well, yeah, exactly.
No one expected Peter Parker to be killed off. Sorry for ruining these spoilers. You know.
No, that's long enough ago.
I know by now. You know, it's like I'm being stupid. But if you don't know by now, you're never going to know. So
exactly.
So Miles Morales, he's just, I mean, the fact that he was, I think more importantly, I think he's beyond the scope of just him being a person of color at this point.
Exactly.
Like he's his own character. In fact, when you look at the video games where they're pushing, Peter Parker and Miles Morales right next to each other, you accept them both as Spider-Man.
Exactly.
And now that they have this whole Spider universe, they made an excuse. They made a palpable excuse as to why they should have multiple Spider-Man. Look at Spider-Punk.
Spider-Punk. I love Spider-Punk. I loved him.
Spider-Gwen was a freaking like just an epiphany. Like no one knew she was. She was not even a background character. She just was seen first, and I think it was the aesthetic for a costume that just made her blow up.
Yeah, it was originally a variant cover that ended up becoming a thing.
Yeah, and she wound up gaining a whole traction of a whole bunch of fans, newer fanship, which is what's supposed to happen in the first place, and got people into the world that, here she is, this new Spider Girl, Spider Woman, and you got Miles Morales, and you can accept the fact that Spider-Man is a concept now. So that's my issue. See, Spider-Man is a concept, not an issue. If you're going to say, it's just like, so we had this conversation some years ago when they kept talking about Black James Bond. I said, there's no Black James Bond. And he was like, what are you talking about? I said, Idris Elba would be great as James Bond. I said, no, he'd be good as 007. Not James Bond. And what are you talking about? I said, James Bond, unless James Bond, his name is like the real name of the character, of the person, the agent that's actually acting underneath that suit. Then you can't have a Black James Bond. You can have a Black 007 because that's his call sign.
That's what we got, and that's what we had in No Time to Die. We had a black female 007, but she wasn't James Bond.
Exactly. So if one day this guy who happens to be, was he Scottish? Is he? I know he's European. If he's British, or what? Like what's James Bond's ethnicity, right?
Yeah.
You wake up one day and say, you know what? We're not liking this anymore. Let's just make him Asian. And the next movie, he wants to be in freaking what was that? Simu Liu, right?
Something like that, yeah.
From Mr. Master Kung Fu himself.
Yeah, yep.
He's James Bond, and you're asking the public to now believe that this is James Bond. After the last movie you just saw, 15 white guys.
Exactly.
Character. So it's like, it's in some cases getting a little too much. In a lot of cases, it's going overboard, and in other cases, they kind of get it on point. It's kind of lazy.
It's like here's what I stand. Here's where I stand. It's why I look at Miles, or even you have we have two black Supermans. You have Val Zod and Calvin Ellis. You have Jace Fox with Black Batman. Having these other options, I would prefer rather than giving us a black Clark or a black Bruce Wayne.
But that's the other part. You see, that's what I said. You can accept that because Superman is a Superman family.
Yes.
It's like Batman is a Batman family. Right? So anybody can, if they fall under the scope of following the leader, who's the originator, who's starting the whole mission,
yeah,
then you can understand that there's going to be derivatives of who he is because he set the standard.
Exactly.
It's like Shazam, just like Captain Marvel. You know, he was able to pass his power on to his siblings.
Yeah.
And they became a part of him. You know, the Flash, they have
the Flash family. Now, to be fair, though, until they specified he was Wallace, you did technically have it be where they had a black Wally for that brief little time before they brought back the original Wally. So that brief time, I could see that was a little bit of an issue, but then once they specified, oh no, he's a separate character, okay, you fixed it.
Yeah, so it has to make sense. That's one of the things that Dwayne McDuffie always pushed upon.
Yes.
It's like, create something, and it goes a certain way, it has to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, and you can't get it right within the first 10 minutes, you're going to lose the audience.
Exactly, and that's why I always feel when you do have some people who want to say, like, I want a black Clark Kent, it's like, you missed the point. You just want to take the easy route.
There's no black Clark Kent. You know,
exactly.
There's Clark Kent, and there's another person who happens to have the same power in another universe who happens to have the same kind of, the same kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
And he becomes a symbol now. So now you're wearing the symbol, and you're carrying his example.
Yes, his example. I mean, Calvin Ellis is a black Clark Kent, but he's different enough. He has a different name and everything. You can accept that.
Right. So, I mean, and I think that when you try to explain this example, there are a lot of people out there who like to bust on people like that by saying, oh, you can't, these guys are such wusses, they always have something to complain about. These people have valid reasons to complain about some of the stuff that they're seeing because it's becoming confusing now.
Exactly. So, Now, of course, it's also about how you introduce them. Like Riri, horrible way of introducing her. I'm sorry. Riri's way of being introduced was not handled well at all.
They can always fix that. That's the thing.
They did. Yep.
Right.
And they did.
So, and that's why I say I a lot for someone will see something that's a little off kilter. They'll write their own version of it, and then they come back and they say, "We'll put this in between what she set up and before she became, Baby Iron Girl
or Iron Heart, whatever."
No, I'm being stupid.
Oh, I know. Right.
Baby Iron Girl.
Right.
Iron Ball. And
something like that.
So when it's all said and done, it's like, okay, she is who she is. You know where she comes from. You know what she's about. And you could get into her mythos now that you have an Iron family being built.
Yes, exactly. And again, there's a way to do it and there's a way not to. And I do wish some writers would know that. But again, lessons learned.
Icons, it's only natural that the icons will eventually develop a following.
Exactly.
So, and if you're going to do it right, you're going to build it within that universe. It just adds more to the mythos and the ethos of the character that started all in the first place. Because how much longer can these characters continue to be relevant? In case they don't, you got this whole family still pushing them up. And if you lose them, they find themselves, we're going to retire this character. You still have all these characters that can still push the mythos.
Yeah,
it's like what they did with Gotham Knights, the video game, right?
Oh, yeah.
They killed off Batman, and that his group, the remaining family, has to come over and take over where he left off.
Exactly. So, yeah.
My thing, what would be the family of what's in it? Because that'd be pretty interesting. I mean, they were already like 10 characters strong and still building. And I can't tell you how they would continue to maintain a schedule and join all those characters in those panels.
Oh, yeah, good point. So, I got to start wrapping things up. I got some other stuff I got to get around to. But I just want to, first I want to ask, what do you have going on or coming up that you can talk about? Well,
I'm doing some smaller stuff for smaller companies, Erasmus Fox. I can't really say what the name of the the book is right now. I'm not
Understandable.
sure, but I just wanted to name that. And there's some other stuff in the works that I'm putting up for my own setup going forward. I don't want to say too much about it. I've already said enough about it. But my thing is like I want to make sure I get it done and then talk about it.
Right.
But I got a lot of stuff that's being put together and it's almost done and ready for crowdfunding at some particular point. So I want to be able to eventually push that also. Hopefully people will be ready for what I have to, my voice also. So
I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye and ear out. So yeah, but Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on, just giving us so much of your insights and everything. And again, I really hope more people see this and start seeing more about your work. I really hope things just start to take off for you. And
I mean, they know who I am.
Yep, I know.
In one way or the other, it's going to take off one way or the other. And
yep, agreed. Agreed.
As long as I'm still doing what I love to do, it's people will know who I am.
Exactly. And I just, again, want to thank you so much. And I hope you keep up the great work. And to everyone else here, thank you all for joining in. And we'll see you all on the next one.
All right. Take it easy.
Take care.